Let's talk about something uncomfortable, something that no one wants to admit, especially not out loud. Most women think they're being supportive when they help their man become better. They remind him of things. They plan for him. They fix his mistakes. They offer advice, suggestions, structure, all from a place of love. But here's what that looks like from his side. You've become his mother. And if you're wondering where the attraction went, it left the moment that dynamic entered the room, because no woman wants to sleep with her son. This isn't about blame, it's about truth. Men crave polarity. We thrive in the space between you handle yours and I'll handle mine. But when everything starts getting managed, our time, our tone, our task list, it doesn't feel like love, it feels like failure. And you might be thinking, well, if I don't help, nothing gets done. I hear you. But every time you pick up his slack without consequences, every time you finish his sentence, every time you correct him in front of others, you're not just solving a problem, you're shifting the polarity of your entire relationship. He's no longer your man, he's your project. And that kills desire. But nothing dries up intimacy faster than constantly managing someone who's supposed to lead beside you. So what do? You stop filling in the blanks. You let him carry the weight, even if he drops it a few times. You respect his process more than you crave control. And yes, you can still have high standards. Yes, you can still call him forward, but you stop doing it from the top down. You stop parenting, you stop coaching, you stop reminding, and instead you reclaim your space as an equal with expectations, not micromanagement. And here's what happens next. The second he feels that rope loosen from his neck, he either steps up or you finally see what he was never going to do in the first place. Either way, you get your clarity back. And the polarity, it starts to breathe again. Attraction doesn't live in control, it lives in difference. Let him feel the weight of your standard, not your supervision. That's where the spark reignites. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're heading out and he's forgotten the nappy bag or the keys or the water bottle for the kids. You sigh, you grab them, you say, I've told you 100 times. You're not trying to belittle him, but that moment, it hits like a parenting cue. And you've just shifted the dynamic from lover to mother. Now you're probably thinking, what do I do then? And I totally get that for you to watch me, you had to suspend your disbelief that you would be watching a man tell you how to get your man to be more of a man without you mothering that man. And if I tell you to do some variation of gentle parenting on your husband, I know you're going to reach through that screen and throttle me. So this is what I want you to do. You get down on his level, you look him in the... I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Stay with me. Please don't break your computer. Here's what you do. You do nothing. You don't say a word. You let him forget, and when he realizes, you let him feel it. Maybe he runs back inside, maybe the kids get thirsty. That's his moment to own. You don't save him, but you don't shame him either. You just step back. Why? Because when you stop preventing the consequences, he starts learning. Not just for how to remember water bottles, but how to step up without being managed. That's the muscle he needs to train. That's where the polarity starts to come back. You want another example? Right? You're at a dinner table with friends. He starts telling a story. Maybe he gets a detail wrong or it takes too long to get to the point. I do. And you cut him, you correct him, you tighten the timeline, you reframe it so it's more accurate. Again, your intent isn't cruel. You think you're helping. But what he feels is this. She doesn't trust me to speak. She wants everything to be about her. It might be subtle. He might laugh it off, but deep down something shrinks. You've made yourself the authority, and he's just been publicly demoted. Now, the alternative is obvious. Let him talk. Let him get it wrong. Let him fumble a little. And if you need to add something, wait. Add it like a teammate, not a supervisor. Oh yeah, remember that time when you said this to him after that? That builds him. It says, I'm with you, not above you. And you'll see it in his body. He relaxes, he opens up, he starts asking for your input again, because now he doesn't feel managed, he feels respected. Here's another example, because this one happens every single day. He asks, what do you want for dinner? And you sigh, or you snap. I don't know, you decide for once. But here's the thing, you've trained him not to decide because every time he's made this decision in the past, you overrode it. You said, that's not what I wanted, or that's too expensive, that's not practical, that won't work. And so now he just doesn't decide. Not because he's lazy, because he doesn't want to fail you again. The fix? Start letting him lead, even if it's imperfect. If he suggests something, don't audit it, don't reshape it. Try it, support it, let it stand. That builds confidence, that rebuilds trust, and you might be shocked how quickly he starts stepping up when he stops getting shut down. I've lots of examples though, lots. Let's keep going. Example number 4, let's say he finally is helping with the kids. He's brushing their teeth, packing the school bags, he's trying. And you walk in and you say, that's not how I do it, or seriously? You forgot the snacks again? It seems small, but it trains him to know that helping equals criticism. So he stops helping, not to be a jerk, but because he doesn't want to fail in front of you. You want more support? Then stop policing his version of support. Let him show up differently. Let it be messy. Let it be his. Example 5, the passive-aggressive weaponized joke. This one's subtle but deadly. You're with friends or family and you make a joke at his expense. Oh, he wouldn't know how to clean the kitchen if his life depended on it. Everyone laughs, but watch his face. He laughs too, but it lands like a gut punch. Not because he can't take a joke, but because he knows you're not joking. You're jabbing. You're keeping score. You're proving your superiority in front of others, and that destroys polarity. You want a man who steps up? Stop shrinking him in public. Public respect creates private confidence. But I totally get it. I really do. You didn't jab at him because you hate him. You did it because you're fed up. You've carried more than your share. You're doing everything, remembering everything, running the whole household, and you're exhausted. So the joke, that was the only socially acceptable way to say, I'm drowning and no one's helping me, and I get it, I truly do. But here's the problem. You didn't speak your need, you disguised it as a jab. And when you do that often enough, he stops listening for truth in your voice because all he hears is, you're not a man to me anymore. So what's the alternative? You bring it all up outside the moment. Not while he's screwing up, not while the kids are melting down. You wait and you say something like, I'm getting resentful, not because you're a bad guy, but because I haven't spoken up clearly enough. I need this to feel like a team, and right now, it doesn't. That lands. It doesn't mock, it doesn't humiliate, it gives him something to rise into instead of shrink away from. The goal isn't to let him off the hook, it's to get him back in the ring. All right, example 6, the hidden scorecard. Here's one, you don't speak, but he feels it. You keep track. You know how many times you've cooked this week, how many school pickups you've done, how many times he forgot to say thank you. And every time he gets something wrong, you don't just get annoyed, you add it to your tally. Now, when he does something wrong, he's not dealing with this moment, he's dealing with 5 years of unsaid resentment. And he shuts down because the punishment never fits the crime. And again, I totally get it. You've been holding this together. The laundry, the school runs, the lunches, the emotional labor, and every time he forgets something or asks you where the scissors are, you want to freaking scream because you're carrying 1,000 invisible things and no one seems to see it. So you hold it and you record it, tick, tick, tick. Maybe you don't say anything, but you remember. And now when he messes up, you don't react to this moment, you react to every moment. That's the scorecard. And it makes you feel righteous, but also exhausted. And here's the truth that no one tells you because they're afraid of your reaction. You put yourself there, not because you're weak, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped trusting he'd carry it right. So you took it all. And now you resent him for not doing what you trained him not to do. You want to build a stronger man? Burn the scorecard, start fresh, call it forward, not backward. Stop holding the whole system together alone. Don't throw the scorecard at him, throw it out. Sit down and say, this is not sustainable. I need help, not because I can't do it all, but because I shouldn't have to. And then you let him show up. Let him carry what you've been protecting. Let it be clumsy at first, but don't keep punishing him for your silence. You don't want revenge, you want partnership. And that starts when you give responsibility back. Let's give you another example. But I'll just do it myself loop, right? You ask him to do something. He doesn't do it fast enough or he does it wrong. So you say, forget it, I'll just do it myself. And boom, he's off the hook again. He learns she doesn't actually want my help. She wants it done her way. But what you really meant was, I'm tired of carrying everything and I don't trust you to follow through. So he stops offering. And now you're doing everything. You're resenting him for not helping. And he's confused because you made it clear you didn't want the help. Here's the alternative. Let him fail. Let it be late. Let it be messy. Let it be his. Then calmly say, I want to trust you with this. If I didn't care, I wouldn't bring it up. I need to know you're on it. Not perfect, just present. That changes the game. Not by lowering your standards, by raising your expectation of his capability. Let's keep going. But I know what you're going to say, shut down. You've been together a long time. You know his patterns. You know his tone. So now when he brings something up, you cut him off. I already know where you're going with this. But here's the problem. Every time you cut him off, you train him not to bother. He stops trying to bring things to you because you already know. You're trying to protect time, energy, maybe your sanity, but you're also closing the door on emotional connection. I'm sure now you're starting to see a pattern, so here's the alternative. Slow down. Even if you do know what he's going to say, let him say it. Not for the information, for the practice of being heard. Most men don't want to talk at you. They want to feel like when they talk, it matters. That's what opens hearts, not just ears. All right, another example. The weaponized comparison. This is horrible. You say it half joking, well, Sarah's husband helps with the school drop-offs and cooks dinner. Or worse, you bring up your ex or your dad or a friend's partner who's so great with the kids. And what he hears is this: you're not good enough and I wish I had someone better. Now here's the twist. You might be right. Sarah's husband might be amazing. Shani's husband might actually be more helpful. But comparison doesn't inspire change. It breeds shame, and shame shuts men down. So instead of comparing, paint the vision for him. I'd love it if we could be more of a team at night. I imagine us sharing the load so it happens faster and we can then actually enjoy the rest of the evening together. Wink, wink. That gives him something to move towards, not something to defend himself from. All right. Example 10. You're in a conversation with someone, family, teacher, doctor, and he starts answering the question, but he doesn't say it how you would. So you cut in, you clarify, you reword it, and he goes quiet. Not because you were wrong, but because in that moment you told him he wasn't competent enough to speak for the family. And the man who's always being corrected, he stops offering. You seeing a pattern here? If you want to be attracted to him again, you've got to stop mothering him and let him lead, even if it's not perfect. Wait until the conversation is done, then talk to him in private. That shows respect. And a man who feels respected, he'll ask for your input next time. Example 11, undermining him in front of the kids. It doesn't always look like harsh correction. Sometimes he says yes to something simple like dessert, screen time, or letting the kids climb a tree, and you jump in. Nope, not today. You didn't mean to undercut him. You were probably just trying to protect your kids or keep structure. But here's what just happened. He made a call and you reversed it in front of them. And now he feels like an employee in his own family. So next time the kids ask him for something, what does he say? I don't know, ask your mother. Seems harmless, but what he's really saying is, I'm not in charge here. And your kids, they learn that too. They stop listening to him. They stop seeing him as a real authority. They see dad as the fun one or the weak one or the one who's just not there. And you end up shouldering more responsibility, more decision-making, more resentment, not because you're bad, but because you became the final word. And if you're the final word, you're also the final weight. What's the alternative? Back each other up, even when you disagree in the moment. If he says yes and you disagree, bite your tongue. Follow through. Then talk privately later. Hey, I actually think that wasn't the best call. Next time, can we please talk about that first? That keeps unity. That teaches the kids our parents are a team. And most importantly, it restores your husband's spine in the eyes of his own children. Because a man who doesn't feel respected by his kids, you not feel like a man at all. And that kills your attraction to him too. Over time, let him lead. Let him get it wrong sometimes. Let him grow through experience and give your kids what they actually crave. Two parents standing shoulder to shoulder, not one parent standing in front of the other one. Example 12. He opens up, says something real like, work's been tough, or I don't know what I'm doing lately. And before the sentence is finished, you jump into fix-it mode. Well, maybe you should talk to your boss, or you need to take a break, or maybe you should do that course I sent you. And just like that, he shuts back down. Because what he wanted wasn't a solution. He wanted to be witnessed. Instead, try saying nothing for a few seconds. Just sit with what he said. Then offer something simple like, that sounds really heavy. I'm glad you told me. That alone, he'll remember it for days. All right, last example. This one is a good one. I call it the strong woman who doesn't need anything trap. Okay, this is you. You're independent, capable, you're tough, you've raised babies, managed businesses, kept the house running on fumes. And you've told him, directly or indirectly, I've got this, I don't need help. So guess what? He believes you. And now you're angry because he's passive, uninvolved, checked out, but you trained him that his presence wasn't essential. So here's what you do. Start inviting again. Not begging, not demanding, just letting him see that his contribution matters. Can you handle this part? It makes me feel less alone when you do. Not because you can't, but because you don't want to do life alone anymore. That difference is everything. Okay, this has been an incredibly long episode, but I want you to remember this. You didn't set out to become his manager. You didn't want to carry it all. You didn't want to lead everything. You just wanted to keep the family running. And somewhere along the way, you became the one who had to do it all. The problem is, the moment you stepped into that role, he stepped back. Not because he's weak, but because the masculine doesn't compete with the feminine for leadership. So you became stronger, sharper, more in control, and he became quieter, smaller, less reliable. And now you're here wondering, why don't I feel attracted to him anymore? Why do I feel like I'm raising another kid instead of partnering with the man? And the answer is this. Polarity died the moment you started holding the reins alone. But here's the good news. You can change it without role playing, without shrinking, without lowering your standards. You change it by letting him carry weight again, by letting him feel the edges of your expectation, not your control. You let him fail, you let him learn, you stop mothering, and you start showing up like the woman who trusts herself enough to not need to run everything. That's where attraction is born. That's where desire comes back. That's where the man you married starts to reappear because you gave him space to reclaim himself. You're not here to be his mum, you're here to be his match. Let the spark rebuild on the difference, not domination. That's how polarity lives. That's how intimacy thrives. And that's how you stop doing everything and instead bear witness to him becoming the man you married, the leader, the protector, the teammate. And that's when you feel that pull towards him again.